Waddell, you worked with so many great drivers. Was there one who stood out?
You know, I've been asked that question so many times, and you go back over them there, Fireball, Lorenzen, Pearson, Allison, Mario.
I always liked Fred Lorenzen. I thought he looked like a really cool guy.
He was. And I remember when I went to work with him, and we were at Daytona in 64, and that's when Chrysler came with that Hemi. And we was out there practicing around 160-some mile there. And Richard had that Plymouth covered up over in the corner. And he comes out the next morning and fires that thing up. And that was the first time I ever had heard one of them Hemis run. And that was the keenest sounding Hemis I ever heard in my life. He went out there, and in the first lap, he ran 4 mile an hour faster than we did, just warming up.
Wow.
I remember Lorenzen took his uniform off and went to the motel.
Oh, really?
So I went, and he come by and he said, "Let's go have dinner."
Yeah.
I said, let's make this a test, because we was down there 3 or 4 weeks. I said, there's a lot of things I've heard these boys in the engineering talk about. You try for Daytona and do it. I said, none of them's ever had the opportunity to do it. But well, let's do it. He said, okay. So I changed cam timings. I changed you won't believe all of that we went through. And he was right there in the middle helping me. Because he worked on that race car just like anybody else did, and he kept his own records of, everything was the springs, the sway bars, everything's on that race car. He had it all wrote down.
Okay.
Halfway through the race, we blew up because he put a camshaft in. We knew we wouldn't make it, and then put it in Fireballs too. Both of them blew up about halfway through.
Oh.
But then we went to Atlanta and tested. We went to Bristol and tested, and then won the next 7 races that we entered.
Wow.
So much we had learned just down there testing.
Yeah.
But he had a feel that was unbelievable. He could tell you, what he needed, I learned that's the one that I learned so much from.
Sure, yeah. And how was Fireball Roberts?
Well, he'd come in of a morning, and he'd jump on the workbench and watch us. And he never he wouldn't say anything. He'd just watch us work. He wouldn't interfere with anything, but he never suggested anything or, hey, why don't you do this or do that? He was all the media wanted to talk to him anyway.
Yeah. So it seemed like he was the kind of, maybe did he have a lot of lady friends, let's say?
Well, I don't know what he done after hours, but probably so.
Probably so, yeah. I just always imagine him as being that way. I was down at Holman and Moody, and Lee Holman, he had a display cabinet, and it had the seatbelt, or the 5-point harness latch that Fireball Roberts had on, and it was burnt, obviously, in 1964 from the Charlotte race.
Yeah, I remember that day. That's whenever I was on Lorenzen's car then. And I remember it happened on the backstretch. And I've never seen the black smoke come up in that race car. It was really, really bad. At first, we didn't know who it was. Yeah. And then they told us it was Fireballs, it was involved in it. But, he lived a couple of weeks and passed away.
Yeah.
That was a horrible thing.
Yeah. I know my dad was there. He actually said he remembers running down to the fence whenever that happened. But, I know the car was upside down. They said all the fuel was running into the headboard or whatever. Well,
back then we had regular, just the way you get a street car, the gas tank was in the back of them. Yeah. And he hit the back of it and it ruptured the gas tank. Well, then Firestone come along and come out with the bladder and really helped to conserve the drivers, and all of them ruptured engine, gas tanks and all.
Yeah.
Every time there was a death in Plum all the way up to senior, there was always something that happened. NASCAR would work on making it more safe every time.
Right.
So it's amazing. NASCAR is, they've saved a lot of lives, just all that they done to all these race cars to make them better and safer.
Yeah, and basically the bladder would be like an internal inside the metal gas can, and it would be out of rubber or whatever, neoprene, I'm not sure back then. Yeah. And then it would just kind of collapse but it didn't rupture like a metal tank.
No, just a regular tank. That's what That's what got Fireball. But then Firestone went to work and come up with that.
Yeah.
So that message that you're going to read is from Mr. Bill Blair.
Yeah, Mr. Bill Blair tuned in, says back when Fireball lost his life at Charlotte, In that accident, the drivers were dipping their suits in a 50-gallon drum of solution, and Fireball was allergic to it and did not dip his suit. I have never heard that.
That's what Mr.
Speaking
Bill
of
Blair
an
says.
encyclopedia of information there, Mr. Bill Blair.
He has it.
Yes, he does.
If you need to know anything about racing and how many years back it don't matter, he knows.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That's what we were talking about before the show. I think that's what you said. He's like a walking encyclopedia.
He is.
Yes.
Anything about it. And how he can maintain all that is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So speaking of engines, you also built one for Hendrick and Darrell Waltrip. I guess they basically put your engine in his car for a practice session.
Oh, yeah, at Daytona.
That was when he set the track record, unofficial track record, that exceeded Bill Elliott's 1985 mark. You were the crew chief for the IndyCar driver, Al Unser Jr.
Yeah.
Only a NASCAR start in 1993 Daytona 500, and he crashed out apparently.
Yeah, he had a shot winning the race that day, but Earnhardt took care of it.
Oh, is that what it was? Did he give him the old chrome bumper or whatever? The chrome horn?
I didn't think to tell him, but anyway, that's what happened.
Yeah.
You know, he's sitting there we just changed tires on his car, and he was in third place. And the cars, 3 cars in front of him, he had passed that day, so he shouldn't have been no problem passing.
Right.
But he wanted to come to NASCAR, and he thought one time he had a sponsor, and he wanted to know if I'd be the crew chief on his car if he'd come. But he never did make it materialize.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Unters, they was Bobby and Al, they were very nice people.
They were mostly, what, Indy?
Yeah, they was Indians.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, naturally you're a Hall of Famer. What was that like being inducted into the Hall of Fame?
Well, what an honor, you know. I remember when they told me I'd been inducted in, I couldn't believe it. You know, it was just wild. It was beyond my wild imagination getting in something like that. It's like I said earlier, you know, that's for owners and drivers, not crew chiefs and engine builders. It was been a lot of fun.
Yes. We had the honor of going to the one where Robert Yates was inducted after he passed.
Yeah.
So next to getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, what would you say your second most proud moment was?
Well, probably the biggest moment was in 1980 when we won the Daytona 500 with Buddy Baker.
The Gray Ghost.
Yeah, the Gray Ghost. That always sticks in my mind. You know, the thing about it, people don't realize at the end of the season in 79 leading into 80, there's only 3 of us in the shop. And I said to myself, well, I got a free hand now. I don't have to answer to nobody about what I want to do to that race car. And I took it to a guy that used to work at home with Moody and had him work on it. And I'd go and check it lower at lunchtime. No, that's not what I'm looking for. And I said that long tempered, I want to fit like a glove. And this is what I want down the sides. And then like they never got that car the way I wanted it. But finally they got it and I picked it up. In the meantime, I'm building engines. And the one they won in the date and run the date from finally, I remember building it 3 times before I get it what I wanted.